Hey, this is Kev with Blender Binge, back with another video for you after taking a little break here to do a freelance project that I was doing in Blender. So let's get into it. I got some requests to shade this key with a metal shader, so I'm going to show you how I go in here and set up a quick and dirty metal shader that's going to look somewhat like a key. Ready? Let's go. Now the first thing I want to show you is that I had set up this environment. I put my key on a flat kind of tabletop here, and I have a HDR image wrapped around my scene. So if I go here to shading, okay, you'll see that this scene is now being lit with an HDR image. All right, it's similar to using this look dev area here, but I'm not using the look dev area because I want to see what it looks like rendered. So that said, okay, if I go to shading and I go to world, you'll see here's my setup. So I went to HDRI Haven, I grabbed a studio setup, and I plugged that as an environment map. So I went add, okay, texture, environment texture, it laid this down, I added that in here and put it into surface. And now you can see if I go back to shading here, rendered view, you can see that that image is wrapped around my scene, okay? So it's being lit by this image. So to make this video short, that's it. Now, let's get on with giving this guy a shader that looks like metal. So if I go here, back to object, okay, my object has a principled shader on it. I'm in Blender 2.8, it gives us this principled shader by default. So the first thing I do is, my key is a bronze key, all right? I'm gonna give it a bronze shader. So I'm gonna give it a bronze color. So the first thing I'm gonna do is kind of find a bronzish base color, right? Maybe a little more red, a little less than copper, all right? And start off with that. Next, being that it's metal, okay, I'm going to give it a metallic value of 1. We'll slide that all the way up. And now it's metallic. And metal is, you really see metal when it reflects the environment. That's why I have that HDRI lighting this, because it gives it nice reflections. You see metal, okay, so yeah, it kind of looks metallic, right? But not really. Well, the next thing down here is roughness. Okay, roughness controls how much this reflection occurs. And there's a really good video on using metallic textures and shading up here. This guy, Andrew Price, I'm pretty sure you've probably seen him, Blender Guru, does a really, really good job in a whole breakout video explaining this. I'll link to it up here so you can go check it out. Really, really good, recommend it. But anyway, so here we have kind of a very mirrored surface, right? Because we took this roughness all the way down. So roughness basically just approximates how rough a surface is, how the light interacts with a surface, okay? This is a perfectly flat surface, so the light comes in, bounces off, and returns to your eye, giving you a perfect reflection. Whereas if I turn the roughness up here, all right, it starts putting like little micro facets into the surface, breaks up the light, and gives you more of an interesting kind of, you know, non-mirrored look. So right off the bat here, we have something that looks pretty metallic, right? It's looking pretty metallic. So the last thing I would do here is go and kind of break it up, all right? So to do that, I can break up the roughness by giving it a roughness map. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a image texture, and I'm gonna plug that into roughness. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an image texture. So I'm going to go to open, and I have one that I'm going to show you called roughness copy. So you don't see the map showing up on here because I don't have a vector for this, okay? I don't have UV maps broken out for this yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add in input, and I'm going to say texture coordinate, and I'm just going to say generated for now. And it'll show you what we need. So this map, this roughness copy map, all right, let me show you what that is here. I'm going to go to rendered, I'm going to go to roughness copy. Okay, I made this little image white and black. Now roughness is black here is a mirrored surface, okay? When you plug that into roughness, anything black will be very shiny and very mirror looking, whereas white will be all washed out and a very rough surface. So if I go back here to shading, you can see here that white gives it a very kind of almost a matte looking metallic finish, okay, where the light just kind of spreads across the surface. There's a lot of little breakups, so the light just kind of bounces around. And here, where it's black, it just reflects right back in your eye like a mirror, okay? So when I first started using roughness, that got a little confusing to me. So hopefully now it's not confusing to you, okay? Black is mirror, white is rough. So knowing that, I can go ahead, and I showed you another little image up here when I go to rendering, scratched surface. Okay, so I have this scratched kind of surface, this thing I made in Photoshop, and I'm going to go here and plug this image into that and show you what happens. Go back to shading. So instead of this roughness copy map, okay, I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go to open. So go to textures. I think it's in here. Scratched and scraped texture roughness. Hit open. And now you see that I have a very kind of scratched looking surface. And I'm going to go ahead and change color to non-color data. All right, because we don't really want the color of that, even though there's no color in there. I'm just going to take all the color data out. I'm just going to use pure black and white. And you can see here that we're really kind of getting a scratched looking, non-perfect shader here. Okay, where the white stuff is very kind of diffuse and the black areas are very metallic. Now, to art direct this, which inevitably you're going to want to do because you're an artist, right? You want things to look physical, but you also kind of want them to look, you know, be able to direct it. You can add in a little control in here that allows you to change the look of that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to right click on this, or actually I'm going to say add, and I'm going to give this a, let's see, color, and I'm going to say invert. And I'm going to drop that in between here. And now you have this little factor, and you can change that factor. Okay, this is inverted. You can kind of play with it, and you can kind of art direct this to however you want it to look. So this is what we had, factor of 0. All right, I start inverting this, and it starts making the white. So 50% will be gray, so you won't see any look at all. It won't. This will be completely flat gray, and then here it'll start inverting, and you can start getting a different look. Okay, so if you wanted to invert that, and this will be more kind of what you're looking for with a key. So that's how I would go ahead and start setting up this shader. And there's quite a bit more you can do. You can really play with that scratched surface. You can do more. You can, right here, you see that we have this image kind of going down here. I don't want to make this video too long where I start breaking out the UVs and doing all that, because that just gets kind of overkill. But you can go ahead and watch. There's a video up here I have on UVs. And you can break out the UVs and really go to town texturing this whole thing. But this is kind of a quick and dirty setup for anything that you want to be kind of metallic looking. All right, and we're using kind of a bronze texture here. And this should work for you and get you kind of in the ballpark for what you want to do and play with. So hopefully you got something out of this video. If you did, hit like, subscribe, hit that little bell notification. And I'm going to start producing a lot more videos now that I think this gig is over. So carry on. Go have fun. See you in the next video.